All right, so let's get into Fibularis, Longus, Brevis. Basically what that means is the outer portion of your lower leg. The bone that is on the outer portion here is called the fibula. So this muscle is basically named after the bone that it lies on top of. A great way to start with this, just like we did with the tibialis anterior, the shin muscle, would be to sit. And we'll start with a ball, and we can just start to use our hand. And you're going to start, basically if we were to look at the leg, there's going to be a little nub bone right up here on the outer portion of your knee. You have a bump in the front, and then you come up to the outside, there's going to be a little bump on the outer portion. So that's the fibula. And we're going to follow that down, and you'll basically be able to feel the bone all the way down until you get into the ankle, and you have this little bump down at the base here. So that whole strip is where we're going to be working. So we'll take our ball, and we'll start up at the top. Again, we're going to do some scanning, side to side, up and down, circles. We're just looking for a tender point. Typically speaking, we're going to find one near the top of the bone here, and then a little bit above, maybe 3 fingers above the lower bump down here, that lateral malleolus right here. So again, we'll just do some scanning. I found a point pretty significant there. So I'm just going to start to stretch the fascia up and down, side to side, circles each direction, and then we're twisting. So this is just kind of our warm up here. When we're starting with the fascial work, this is a great place to start. Once you get more comfortable with that, then we can start to apply more weight. Just be careful, there are some nerves that are around this area. So if anything's sharp or shooting, just make sure you just shift off of that a little bit until you get to that dull, leaky spreading sensation. So once we've identified our points, I'm going to start to use a little bit more pressure. Let's go on to our foam roller. Now for this one here, what we're going to do is go into a side position. So in a stacked position with your elbow directly underneath your shoulder. And we're going to bring the knee out in front of us. And we're just going to scan back and forth. Now once I find my point, to increase my tension here, I'm basically going to lift my toes up and bring my big toe up towards the ceiling. And that's going to start to create that internal tension. Now again, we can kind of roll the leg a little bit. We really want to isolate these points. Once we're on it, we can lift the big toe up and towards the ceiling. And we're just going to breathe here. In and out. Excellent. I'm going to go down a little lower here into the ankle. And I'm just going to roll and scan. It's not as bad for me on this one. I got a little point right there. Again, we're going to lift the foot up towards the ceiling and bring the toe up towards the knee. So it's called dorsiflexion, so you lift the ankle this direction, and then we're trying to invert the ankle as well. So we're adding some stretch into that tissue. Perfect. Now once you're good with that, we could move to a larger ball. For this one, again, we can still kind of sit in this side posture. If you want to bring the body down, I can start to add weight by lifting my hip up off the ground to put more pressure into the leg here. Again, I like the medicine ball for lower extremities because it gives me a lot more freedom of movement to isolate those points, and it's a little smaller surface area, so it can be a little more intense, which as you progress, it's a good thing to get into a little more intensity. There we go. Perfect. And increase the tension, breathe. Wonderful. Good. So that's pretty basic. It's not a very large muscle, but it should be pretty tight on most people, especially up here around the knee. It's not uncommon for the lower areas of that muscle to radiate down into the ankle. So if you are somebody who has ankle pain kind of on the outer side of the ankle or up into the top of the ankle here, you're probably dealing with some fascial restrictions throughout this muscle. So don't go too crazy on this one. It's a very thin muscle. You don't need a lot of pressure. As you can see, I wasn't really putting my whole body weight on it. But start with your tolerance level and work your way up, and eventually it'll start to open up. All right, let's get on to the next muscle.